Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
In this thread, spooky things in non-spooky places. Grew up in innocent North Germany playing in a woods, building forts, etc. Think I'm used to the wilderness even though we used to play like 1 kilometer away from a main road. B10, moved to the Isle of Wight in the UK, basically the redneck capital of the UK. Island folk are strange, and for the most part stupid. Very hilly, I mean like rolling hills like in The Lord of the Rings. Hills also have woodland on them. Live near these hills. Long story short, even though I've moved away now, I can't sleep there now in my family home. Something has been following me for years. I will tell stories about these happenings if anyone is interested. No one is here yet, but I'll start with some early memories. The house my family still lives in to this day is hella old. I'm pretty easily spooked, so as a kid it's even worse. Every noise or movement I jump up in terror. This house is basically hell. We've only recently moved here, so everything is new, but I noticed that in the downstairs living room figures move past the window. I freak out almost every time. Mother sees some too and is also a bit freaked out but says it's probably just trees. Grandparents are old .jpg. What? I didn't see anything? They've lived in this house for like over 40 years. Claim never to have seen anything. Old people don't know anything. Move on to a few months later, getting settled in. The figures are becoming quite normal by this point. My mother, my brother, and I are all in the same room for the time being. The village seems to be a rather nice place. The house is big for most UK houses. It has 4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, and 2 bathrooms. Yeah, .jpg. We started to explore the area. Usually it's just my brother and me. Up the hills we go. We stay out of the woodland because my brother doesn't like it. He's a lot younger, so I don't want a crying kid on my hands in the middle of nowhere. My brother, as it turns out, was some sort of freaky shit detector. We'll get to that much later when he starts developing independent characteristics. Okay, we'll stick to the hills for now. The hills look something like the picture. Usually daunting, but the paths up them tend to be quite good. This continues for a while, and we feel okay with it. Father comes to visit. Daddy, .jpg. Happy. Now nothing can go wrong. We decide now's a good time to go up a straight path to the top of the hill. The path goes directly through the forest that we usually avoided. Even my brother seems okay with it with our dad there. Walking on sunshine, whoa. The woods are pretty damn thick. We found some edible leaves that taste a bit like garlic. My dad used to pick them as a kid, so we dug in. Dead fucking silence. I mean nothing, not even the wind. I hate the sound of the wind in that forest, so it's not bad, but still. Dead silent. Kid brain has interpreted what I saw as a hooded figure standing downhill. Adult brain knows differently. It wasn't hooded. I've blocked out what it looked like. I simply have no idea. It just stood there at the bottom of the path at the entrance to the forest. Now basically, the forest has a few intersecting paths, kinda like a backwards K shape. We came up from the bottom left-hand side. Dad ignores or doesn't see the figure and keeps walking up. Daddy don't leave us. We follow, walking. I didn't fucking dare look back. The path is pretty long, but we get to the intersection of the K-shaped paths. This place is weird. When I used to go up here not a few years back, there's this weird thing that just draws you downhill, not even gravity. You just kinda wanna not go up but back down. We all feel it. We all wanna go back down. At the bottom of this path is the next village over. That village even has a church. Wow. It's the one in the pic. Strange place. It can feel completely serene one day and completely wrong. I guess that's the next word. Today was a good day. MP3. All is fine, but we head home along the road for some reason. Woodland on the island is never really that large, but it's basically connected by bushy tree-ish paths most of the time. The same goes for my home, pic related. The church will feature a lot in stories if I gain interest, so it's there for reference. It looks really non-woody in the pic, but let me tell you, it's not as bad as it looks. Aesthetics-wise anyway. We make it home okay. We're distracted by kitty things, so I forget all about whatever the fuck it was I saw. Shadows spook Dad when we're watching a movie. He isn't used to that shit. In my mind, they weren't used to him either. I go outside to look up at the hill behind the house. I think I see a figure up at the top of the hill. Okay, whatever. I go back in. We do more things over the next few days, non-hiking related things. I put everything I saw out of my mind. Weeks pass by. It should be noted that this is only one of the main storylines of events that happened to me. Some other things do happen at points, and I may reference those in passing. Let me know if you want to know more about those things in particular. Dad is gone, back to school, back to long walks in the hills behind my house. One day I decided to just go over the fence and go straight up. Paths are for pansies. I remember the thing I saw. Lowell, what an idiot. There's nothing up here. Pick related. I was wrong. I mean, this is a picture of the path I got off Google. People go here. Do they stare down at kids in the middle of the fucking night? Do they? I've been walking for about half an hour now, so I'm pretty tired. I was like 12, so I've never even seen a gym. I'm also piss scared because there's a path up here. Someone was atop this hill. They were looking at me. I decide, like the wuss I am, to make amends with whatever it is. I pull out a notepad and pencil and write, "You may come down. You may come in, but you may only come in after 7 years." I have no idea why I wrote that. Other things have been happening to me too. A few of those things relate to what I do up in the hills, and from what I gather, it's best to kiss and make up than to be stubborn. I wrote that note almost 10 years ago. Stuff gets bad when I visit back home. I may not have allowed it in, but that didn't stop it from following me either. Thinking back, I'm not even sure it was one. There may have been more things. I really don't know how to describe them. All I have in my memory are hooded figures, but like I said, I've blocked shit out. I don't even know if anyone is still here, but I'll dump a few stories. Fast forward a few years after leaving the note. I've probably forgotten all about it, as I haven't seen Shadow Dude in ages now. Mom is working, but my grandparents are looking after my brother and me. Now we've both become somewhat used to bumps in the night, but both of us hear actual footsteps from upstairs. For once, the old people hear something too. Grandmother goes to investigate. She was getting pretty close to getting dementia at this point, but was still relatively sane for a person of her age. Grandmother gone, Grandpa watching shitty TV with us. Asshole lazy dog is also just chill. I mean seriously, that dog never saw or did anything unless it was an actual person. Grandmother, it's just Hendy. All of my what? Ask who's Hendy? After many times of asking and getting no straight answer, I was told after my younger brother went to bed. It would be about 50 plus years ago. A woman living alone in the house we currently live in. The old woman is old. She has a care lady just a few houses down. Mrs. Hendy is nice, even if a bit old and forgetful. The care lady tells Mrs. Hendy that she's going on holiday. That's nicedear.jpg. The care lady tells others to look after Mrs. Hendy while she's gone. They forget. Oops. The care lady gets back and finds Mrs. Hendy frail but alive, basically sewn herself into a massive amount of clothes. She was taken to the hospital, treated for dehydration, etc., etc. She comes home. She dies within a week in her sleep. For some reason, my grandparents thought it was funny to blame bumps in the night on her, but they also acknowledge that there are certain things that happen that are somewhat benevolent. Opening curtains and closing the windows when it rained. This story kinda leads into some of the other stuff that happened. For some reason, after hearing about Mrs. Hendy, I feel safer in the house. Other stories about Mrs. Hendy involve her getting people out of bed to turn the gas off and general stuff like that. As a kid, a watchful protector feels good, man. It gave me sort of a confidence. I couldn't have been dumber. I begin to stay up later and not be a wuss. I'm reading through old books and maps that my grandfather was an avid reader or collector of. If he really was interested in that stuff, I don't know. He never really seemed to want to read it. Anyway, I'm looking at some maps at about 11 at night. For a 13-ish-year-old, that's late for a school night. I noticed a map of the area from around 1700 something. The village is a lot smaller, but my house is there, though cool. The church is there. The road is there. The path is... I look at the map. The path up the hill is basically about 25 meters away from my house, where another newer house is now. That path connects directly to the backwards K-shape mentioned earlier. At that point, I'm not sure how to feel about it. I still don't know how I feel about it today. Ask grandfather about it. He had polio as a kid, so he can't really walk far. He hasn't been up the hills at all, but he knows about the path. He explains that it's a really, really old path that leads up to the hills and eventually over them, through them, etc. The thing is, it wasn't really needed for going over the hill, as there is a way to get to the church in the valley, and it's far easier going. Most people stopped using the hill path behind my house. A 13-year-old brain doesn't think about it, but an adult brain does. The shadows past the windows still did. Okay, I'm back. So the shadows are still on the move. Mum starts working at night more and more often now. Things are getting stressful at home. All in one room isn't really all that cool. We decide to move away. Buy family home. We move to a 2-bedroom apartment somewhere closer to a town. The move takes a few days due to school and stuff, but we do a carload every day, so we get it done eventually. The new place is okay, a bit small but okay. I'm still around 13 at this point. I still go back to the village family home once in a while for lunch, etc. About a week after the move, we go for dinner. It's early evening in the spring, so it's still light. I'm climbing trees outside in the garden, swinging like a monkey. I swing off a low branch and it breaks. Due to the swing, I fall backward first and slam into some stone paving slabs. I'm winded badly. I curl backward in pain, my head now facing the hill. There it fucking is. Much closer than before. Due to being dazed, I probably hit the back of my head too. I really do only see a black shape. It's coming towards me. At a leisurely pace though. No evil run. It's just coming down the hill purposefully, but willing to take its time. I muster all my strength. I still can't breathe properly. I get up, open the door. No dinosaur. I manage to get a sort of grrr out loudly. I pass out. Everyone around me. You okay there, Anon? What happened? I am freaked out by the thing coming towards me, but I shut my mouth and just tell them I fell on my back and got winded. It should be mentioned that we moved around quite a bit before settling back into the family home. We moved to 2 places in between living there. One which I just described moving to was by far the worst. The other was okay, but some things did happen there. I want to go into those things so you get more of a linear timeline, and especially a linear timeline as to what my brother is capable of. Imagine a house. Imagine a lighthouse. Now imagine a house that's a lighthouse but much smaller. That's the house we lived in. Once again, at the foot of a hill. This hill is much steeper though, and has far more trees on it. It's about 40 minutes away from the family home, so it's good enough for my mum to take care of her old folks if need be. It is, however, far away from school. There are 2 rooms on each floor, give or take, and 2 front doors. One on road level, the other connected to other houses by a balcony with stairs going to the road. My brother, my mother, and I are on the top floor, 4 floors up. This is where we sleep. The 3rd floor was a large bathroom and something we called the Admiral's room. This room just plain scared me. Like the K-shaped path from earlier, something just draws you down, but in this case to the doorway. Not in, not out. Then comes a dining room on floor 2 with a sitting room and TV. Floor 1 is the kitchen and a little bathroom. As mentioned, it's fucking far away from school, so my brother and I spend some time alone there. Things were watching us constantly. We usually just played PlayStation 2, but with the door shut. This seemed to work. Corner of the eye's shadows. Go to the kitchen for a snack. There they'd be. Toilet break. They'd be outside the window, walking past just to catch a glimpse. One day, Mother drops me off at home after school. Gonna check on the parents, Anon. I'll be back in about 2 hours. Brother Anon is already home. Well, okay then. I get inside. Dead silent. Is she sure my brother is home? I call out to him. Hear nothing. I move towards the stairs down, as I had come to the 1st floor door and not the ground floor one. I go down, said stairs. My brother emerges from the kitchen, brandishing a knife. He looks serious. Oh, it's just you. Considering he's about 9 or 10, this is pretty strange for a kid. This was before his conversation started. Same house, but a few years later. We basically never paid rent there as it belonged to a rich friend of the family, but we had to look after it for her. We still do that to this day, though I don't like being in there, and now that I've moved away, I'm happy I don't have to do it anymore. The place just feels bad, you know? It's a beautiful place to live, just something wrong. We're doing a cleanup, and I, having done my chores, went to sit in the car. I'm listening to the radio, changing the station, the frequency, etc. I picked up a baby monitor, which was pretty funny. I find a station that's just random noises. I listen to it and turn up the volume. Definitely human noises, some words, movement, clear footsteps. I recognize the voice. It's my brother's. I hear doors, they're coming to the car to leave. The radio station is dead fucking silent. I would go on that radio station later too. It broadcasts a lot of different stuff. Mostly shipping forecasts. Quite relaxing, really. The thing is, in all the time of being in that house, the most peaceful were the times when we had just moved. Did something follow us or me? Oh well, who cares? It hasn't followed me after I moved away, so I'm okay here. Skip to the other house mentioned earlier. Small apartment. Brother and I still share a room. I hated it. His conversation started to my knowledge when I came home and wanted to listen to some loud music, probably Linkin Park. Brother rushes into the room. Don't, she hates that. The fuck is wrong with you? Long conversation made short. He was talking to a woman that had a name I can't remember now. That there was a monster in the kitchen called Eglantine or something, and that there was something upstairs that was not good or evil but just stuck. Austin Powers. His conversations with this woman are long and in-depth. I'd thought he'd grown out of imaginary friends at this point. He did have some when he was about 4-ish, a whole family of friends, all of whom, he claimed, had died from a cough. Fuck knows what that means. Why is he into talking to himself again? He used to keep me up at night just talking to this random imagined woman. Or so I thought. It wasn't until I met the thing that was stuck that I actually started believing everything he told me about these things. The night I met the thing that was stuck, I was on the computer playing AOE or something like that. The upstairs didn't really have much to offer. My mother's bedroom and a small nook of a room that I claimed as my computer space. There were pillows and stuff on the floor there for relaxation. I made the mistake of falling asleep. The computer was still on. I woke up what seemed only an hour later. It was getting light outside though, dawn. There wasn't much light in the house, it was pitch black. Suddenly something jabs me in the back, really, really hard. I can't move. It keeps jabbing at me. It feels like it's more through me than at me. I turn over. Nothing there. I feel for the light switch. It doesn't work. Okay, I try again. It works fine. That would have been way too cliché, I think to myself. I look to the bottom of the stairs. Something at the bottom of the stairs, bag in hand. For some reason I knew there was a head in that bag. I just knew. This is the thing that was stuck. What does that mean though? Fast forward 2 weeks. I fall asleep again playing AOE. The same exact sequence of events happens. Apart from I didn't turn on the light this time. It's stuck doing this? Jesus Christ, how boring. The thing is, where it goes with the bag was a mystery to me until I started investigating it. Turns out the apartment used to be over a butcher's. Now it's an estate agent's that we used to live on top of. Kinda makes sense, as no murders were reported there. The head in the bag is most likely not a human head. Phew. It's still stuck though. It should be noted that I feel like something is watching me at all points during these times. I don't know what. I can't remember what it looked like. Grandmother is getting worse, so we have to move back to the family home. Okay then. At least there's an extra room now. We've been doing some work and my brother and I get a whole room to ourselves once again. My grandparents also have a much younger dog now. A sheepdog or something. I don't know my breeds. Nervous as hell. He barks at stuff all the time. A problem dog in general, as my grandparents are too old for such a young dog. We walk him a lot. He barks at stuff in the middle of the night too. It's okay, he'll get used to it. Grandmother is getting dementia and starts talking to herself or other people. Freaky shit. Brother has stopped talking to people. I don't think he can or wants to anymore. Mother starts having sleep paralysis in the new room. She tells us about it. No. I've started to not like any of this stuff. Constantly nervous when at home, especially when home alone. One day I'm walking the Doge, up the hills, as this tires him out so he's not so hyperactive. Brain. Hey Anon, remember the thing you used to see up here? Anon. Oh fuck you. I hate my brain. I become nervous but I have a dog with me. Shadow people hate dogs, right? For some reason, making up stories or rules in my head has always calmed me down. Doge is walking with me quite happily. Very run, very wow, such new thing. I am amazed. Where is the dog running to? Oh geez, further up the hill. I'm running along with him as he's on a leash and he pulls on that thing like crazy, so I don't want him to hurt himself. He's running like he would if he saw someone and was chasing them, or being chased. Right at the top of the hill is some sort of mast pylon thingy, pick related. People only check on it about once a week. Today is not one of those days. It looks innocent enough. The dog stops. I stop. Whatever is running behind us keeps running. I almost wet myself. I and Doge are not very happy about this. He wants to go home. I want to go home too. I turn around and walk as if I didn't see anything. Dog is comforted by this and calms down pretty soon too. Instead of going over the fields like we had been doing, I decided it would be best if we walked on the path. In hindsight, this was probably wrong. We get to about here, see picture, down the path, and we have to climb over a gate. I unleash the dog, gone. The dog just runs for it into the trees and bushes that you can see in the pic. R2, don't leave me. C3PO. I climb over the fence. I look back. At least 5 of the things are just standing there, looking at me. I can feel them look at me, all around that path I've been walking down. I just run. I keep running until I can't run anymore. I'm still pretty far from home, so I take a break. I get out my bottle of water and sit on the grass banks of the path. I hear noise. I jumped up, my water bottle raised in self-defense. It sounds like 2 people running towards me. It's not. It's Doge. Wow, I'm glad to see him. He would have found his own way home, but at least now I feel a lot safer. I give him some water to drink from the bottle. He's very grateful for this and promises not to run away again when being terrorized by things. We walk our way home. We've got about half an hour to walk still, and it's starting to get a little cloudy. I occasionally glance back but see nothing. We're on a path that's very much like the first picture in the thread. Seems they don't really like to be among trees, or maybe I'm wrong. I know shepherds used to use paths like this to bring their flocks from A to B for safety. And now I use them for safety. We got home okay. As we get in, it starts raining. Dog looked at me like he knew what was up. The last time I encountered these things up close was brief, and I didn't see them. I only heard them. Other than seeing shapes in the hills at home or from the car rides, nothing. I had only just started smoking, so taking long walks was my way to get my fix without my mother knowing and without smelling like smoke, which my mother would also notice. I sit down on a bench by a small river that runs through the valley. I'm staying away from the hills for now. Looks a little bit like the pic, just not as nice. I see a thing up in the hills. It shouts at me, "You shouldn't be doing that, fucking nope." Seriously, I've never slept better since I moved away from there. The thing is, I have to go back more and more now. My grandfather is pretty close to death, so I have to sort more of his things out. He's moved into a nursing home. I went down there last weekend. I slept maybe 3-4 hours a night. I had to wait for them to just leave. I shouldn't have invited them in those years ago. Did I done goofed? Does anyone have similar stories or know something about this? Well, there are a few more recent. I would have been about 17. I spent most of my time drinking. I had reasons. I drank most weekends. Sometimes I'd go out to drink midweek. The best bar was about an hour bus ride away. A really good bar. Usually I'd get Mother to give me a lift back home. Tonight is not one of those nights. I get off at the nearest bus stop to my house, about half an hour away. This is country life. I walk through what I call a bad patch of wood. It's the fastest way to get back though, so who cares? And it's one of the closest stops. I don't listen to my Walkman, as I need to be listening out for cars and the jazz. Not a something, but a someone is following me. Probably lives in the same village. I look back. I see only black. No light other than the light of the stars and moon. Okay. Probably walks this way a lot and doesn't need a flashlight. I keep walking. I get to a place where I can cut across the fields to get home in about 10 minutes rather than 20. I see a shadow. Insta-nope. I won't be taking that route tonight. The person behind me takes that path, obviously not seeing anything wrong with it. I walk and soon get within the light of houses. I feel safe again. I walk this route often, and I'd say 8 out of 10 times something like this would happen. I'd only take the field route if I didn't see anything there. The field is really well lit on a clear night by the moon, so I was usually able to see my way over those fields better than the road. The road kinda looked like the pick, but less nice. I call this wood bad wood for a reason. It's unkempt. Thick undergrowth, you can't really walk between the trees. I always see things around those woods. Never really in them, just around them. Like previously mentioned, the things never really liked the woods, but it was as though there was something else there, something older. I didn't really want to get away from places like that, but I didn't want to stay there long either. The same goes for the previously mentioned church, but only on certain days. I've never actually been in the church grounds. I've just looked at it from the outside. It's a place I shall have to investigate further in the future. Well, I suppose I'll dump some more stories for y'all. I would have been about 18, close to moving away. Home alone. Oh, yes. At that moment, the power cuts out. Nothing new. This happens quite a lot. I light some candles, etc., and go back on the laptop. I forgot the router needs power. The laptop is boring. I feel a bad feeling. Nothing to do with the hill shadows, very different. It's been raining, so that's probably what's cut the power. We have sky too, so that usually goes first before the power does. The TV picture has been a bit shaky. Anyway, I get a feeling to open all the doors. Over time, I've learned to trust my gut instinct. After the Doge, we had 2 cats, one of which has been my companion since Germany, a beautiful Siamese cat. I hear something come through one of the doors. My old Siamese cat goes to investigate. Bless him, he was old. He fucking runs back and out the door. I follow. If a cat can't deal, neither can I. I spend most of the night outside until my family comes home. They laugh at me like the pansy I was. I'm just very skittish when it comes to things like this. I prefer to run then look than to look and then run. This happened more than once, and even after my beautiful Siamese cat died, other cats took over. A cat almost as skittish as me was able to investigate things like that. I just waited for him to run, and I'd run with him. I seriously owe my cat some gratitude. Well, I'll dump another load of tales. I would have been about 15. Grandmother had died. She actually started being nice towards the end. Before that, they were a bit nasty mixed with some nice. She was mostly nice. I started redoing her room into something which would later become my own bedroom. The carpets were taken up, and wooden flooring was put in. I shared this room with my brother. Oh well. The room next door was the room my mother repeatedly had night terrors in. It was currently empty. This was to be my brother's bedroom, so the carpets and floorboards were taken up there too. Only the beams were left in place. Every night we both hear someone pacing on non-existent floorboards. It was probably just Mrs. Hendy, to be honest. Turns out it might be. Even now that there are floorboards in there, I still hear walking from my brother's room when I stay at home. Another short tale. I would have been about 15. Home Alone 2, playing Harvest Moon or something like that. Anon. Oh well, that was Mum coming home. Better go help her. I go outside, standing in the doorway. Nothing. Dead silence. I hear the same thing from inside this time. Anon. Nope, nope, nope. I run towards the road. All I thought, it's inside. From this, I pretty much got the instant reaction when feeling spooked to open all the doors. More routes for escape. I run onto the road, sit there, and call a friend of mine just because I'm scared. She's understanding but not very patient. Eventually, I make my way back inside. Nothing there. Silent apart from that Harvest Moon music. Harvest Moon for the GameCube was my jam. I plug headphones into the TV and concentrate on nothing but the screen. I know something is there. It's not inside, though. I know full well that's not allowed. We had an agreement. I play for another hour or so. Gotta get them golden eggs. Family comes home, asks why the door is open, I don't know. Another shorter story, not related to Hill Shadows but may become related. I would have been about 17, 18-ish. We have chickens, mostly rescue ones. The ones that were going to be made into KFC because they didn't lay enough eggs anymore. The chickens get to roam free in the garden most days because they're pretty good at picking off slugs and shit. At night, they go back to their fenced-off chicken area. The fence is about 2.5 meters high and made of chicken wire and thick wooden poles. Sometimes a fox would manage to get in and go crazy, killing about 3 and taking one home to eat. It's the circle of life, so no one really gives a damn. Badgers also get in and take one. No collateral killings, just a very quick in and out. Things like this would usually happen if the gate wasn't closed properly. No other way for things to get in. One weekend I get up to feed the chickens, all dead in their chicken house. Feathers have been ruffled. This isn't collateral from a fox. All of them are dead. We take them to the compost pile and dump them as unceremoniously as possible. You can't get attached to chickens. The next day, I put some kitchen waste on the compost. All the chickens are gone. Everything relating to the chickens is gone, not even a feather. I decide to keep it to myself. I turn back to head inside the house. It's dead silent, a sinking feeling in my gut. I walk very calmly into my house. I'm just going to ignore the extra pair of footsteps I can hear in the gravel behind me. Oh geez, I hope no one's closed the door while I was out. They make fun of me, but I have a habit of leaving doors open. It's open. I go inside. The footsteps stop instantly. I go feed my chickens in Harvest Moon. So I've told you that there'd be more stories about the church and then never went there again. I had to do some digging in my brain and ask my grandfather, who I'd often confide in after these happenings. He wasn't really a nice man, but having lived in the area for so long, I guessed he'd know more than I did. He's now got dementia, had 2 strokes, and is in a home, so that wasn't easy to do. I asked my mother and brother more and more about it, and I've actually come up with a few separate stories that don't all roll into one in my mind. I would have been walking along the road from a hard day at school. Mom was off the island for work, and my brother managed to get the bus. I didn't do to some shit I can't recall. It's okay. By road, it takes about 1 hour to get home from the town where my school is. On the way, there's a place I avoid like the plague, the old mental hospital. They've turned it into some fancy apartments now, but this place is old. I know full well what they used to do to people in places like that, back in the UK when being an unmarried mother was a mental illness. Pick-related. In order to avoid it, I cut across a field on a bridle path, really stony, but that's what you get in the chalk hills. I can see the asylum, but it's far enough away not to bother me. I carry on walking. I keep walking. I am walking far longer than I thought on a relatively unused path. Did I miss my turning? My turning would just bring me back to the main road, basically giving the asylum a wide berth. If you've ever been to the island, you'll know the roads are fucking death traps. Barely enough space for cars to pass each other, but I prefer it to the paths in the fields and hills by now. The reasons are obvious. I light a smoke and decide to use Google Maps. Oh, I'm close to St.Olave's. I carry on walking. The village that the church is in is relatively small and quite old. I just checked. The church and the village are older than 700 years, the church having been built in 1292, and the village being in existence long before then. It's not my village, but when I ask for the way to get to my village, people know where I'm from. Good. It's not a rival village. The village itself, though, has a very strange layout. Imagine New York's grid system. This is what the village is like, but with about 12-ish houses. Who the hell builds houses like this? The village is actually much larger and stretches off on several different roads towards farms, etc. I start walking towards the church. I felt a little strange, not like something following me, but more like something trying to find me. Very, very paranoid. I start to up my pace, like the little wuss I still am to this day, and head towards the church. I'm not a Christian, but churches, mosques, pagodas, shrines, and temples always make me feel at peace, especially those dedicated to the older gods. I get into the vicinity of the church. It's summer, so there's plenty of light in the afternoons, but I can see the long K-shaped path stretching up to my right. I don't think I want to go there. The church has a few benches and the door is open. I decide to look at the notice board and then go into the yard to calm my nerves. The notice board is about 3 weeks out of date. Nothing current, oh well, such is village life. At this point, I no longer feel as paranoid as I did before. Giving myself little goals and rules others had to obey gives me great comfort. I start heading into the churchyard. My gut drops. Just fucking drops. I am staring at the church, you know, like when in films clouds start to form above a haunted house when someone looks at it. That's exactly what this was like. I nope out of the churchyard. Something is ahead of me, quite far ahead in the fields. I don't care. I want to get away from the church. I take a left, which is now where the K-shaped path is. It's a very, very steep path. I am running hard. My head hurts. I'm quite unfit but not fat. I smoke a lot, so my lungs, 1, aren't used to this, and 2, are unable to do this. I feel very, very sick. Not even nearly halfway up the path yet. I stop and look back. There are 4 or 5 black, shadowy somethings standing at the edge of the forest. They're not moving. It smells beautiful, nice, fresh forest air. I catch my breath, look back, and they're gone. I walk the K-shaped path home, sticking to the trees. Despite it taking longer than going across the fields and hills, I didn't want to have to run again. Pick-related. It's the church on the left and the path on the right. It gets steeper. On another note, my village and the village with the church are basically put together a lot. We have a village hall, they have a church, so we share the uses of these things. There is a festival that comes once a year, though. It might be new, it might be older, but every year both villages have a scarecrow festival. We compete to see who has the best scarecrows and shit. Being as easily scared as I am. I hate Scarecrow Week, pick-related. Some people take the competition seriously as hell. I'll dump some nope to keep the thread alive somewhat. I would have been about 17. All rooms in the house have now been completely refitted and refurbished. I finally have my own room. My room has 2 doors. One to the stairs going down, not really a door there, but more of a doorway with no door. And the other goes to my brother's bedroom, which also has 2 doors. On a few occasions, something simply walks into my room, looks at me, then walks out. Nope so hard every time. It only happens once a month or so, but it always leaves me sleepless. I hate going to bed late sometimes. I would have been 18. I was outside the house smoking. It was late at night and I'd been sweating Skyrim due to being home alone. There was no wind, no sound other than a few cars going by. A really loud tick. Swallowed by darkness. Fucking power cut. I walked to the front of the house, doing my signature move of leaving the door wide open. The streetlights are on. It's just our house. I go back in and get to the fuse box. I fiddle with the switches. The power is back. I hear the door I left open slam shut. I realize I lost my save in Skyrim. I run outside through the front door. I close it behind me. I've just locked myself out. Why the hell did I do that? I go to get the spare key from under a pig statue in the garden. I go to unlock the back door. It was wide open. It must have been my imagination. Island Urban Legend 1. I'm not sure how accurate this one is, but we used to tell it to younger kids to spook them. Be a man driving in the rain. Car crash. Nasty car crash. The kind of crash where a car is crushed by a lorry. The kind that you see on those Russian dashboard cam websites. The lorry driver calls the police, ambulance, and fire brigade. They arrive. The lorry driver is fine. The car guy isn't. He's dead, Jim. Because it's an island and it's late at night, the police and firemen say they'll do the work of getting him out of the car in the morning, and that they'll put the car into a garage in town for the night and continue work in the morning. They do this. He wasn't dead. The guy wasn't dead. He was trapped inside the car all night screaming. They found him in the morning, dead, for real dead. A mixture of shock, pain, and exhaustion killed him. You can still hear him some nights, but to get to him you have to walk, for you see he's no longer very fond of cars. Urban legend that I really don't like telling, as it's never as good, is related to this. Maury still walks home from the woods. He's supposedly stuck in the old routine. Burned House Lane is one of those places that gives you the creeps at first, but you actually really come to like it. It's got an old chalk pit that we used to go camping drinking in. It's mostly full of junkies now, so drinking there isn't allowed anymore.
Did you know, OP, that the Isle of Wight was a legendary Druid stronghold, one of their great power centers, and that today it's a magnet for Satanists and has one of the highest self-end rates and rates of depressive illness in the entire UK? I think you have been encountering the shades of ancient Druids.
Yeah, I knew to some extent about the Druids. Further away we actually have a few stone circles, really quite cool places. I enjoyed walking my dog there, but I was only ever there with about 5+ people. The island itself is pretty haunted apparently though. We used to tell each other spooky stories at each other's houses before we went out drinking.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.